The Thunder are currently up 2-0 on the Minnesota Timberwolves, and it's a lot to talk about with the Oklahoma City Thunder right now. And it starts off with Shai. Shai is phenomenal. Shai's had over 30 plus points in the last 5 games in the postseason. That's a franchise record. That's over Kevin Durant. That's over Russell Westbrook, and the same with James Harden. And Shai's the MVP for a reason. I know a lot of Shai haters. They'll come out and they'll say, you know what? He gets a lot of free throws. He gets a lot of BS calls. Not really. When you look at Shai and you really pay attention to his game, this man is just working his way on the court, picking his spots, especially against his defense of Minnesota. Minnesota is still a very good basketball team. They're a great defensive team, but Shai's on a different level right now. They put double teams his way. He's splitting the double teams. He's getting the basketball to someone else. He's just finding a way to score over and over again. Usually when we look at great scorers in the NBA, most of them, they get frustrated. Shai in the first half in game 1 only had 2 points. He was 2 of 13. He finished out the game with over 30 points. Once again, because he's Shai. He's able to just go out there and do things that other players can't do. He creates that space with that forearm. He gets you in foul trouble. He gets to the rim. He can hit the fadeaway shot. He can operate from inside the post. He can shoot the 3 very well. And right now it's putting a lot of stress on the defense for Minnesota. Minnesota comes out. They're keeping these games close going into halftime. Then in the third quarter, they come out and they drop the hammer on them. For the simple fact that Coach Chris with Minnesota, he's getting out-coached by Coach Mike with Oklahoma. And they're running different sets. They're being more aggressive in the second half than they are in the first half on offense and on defense. But Shai, I can't say enough good things about his offensive game. Getting to the free throw line, it is a skill. I know some people hate it, but James Harden, he's done this before. The same with Dwayne Wade in his prime. LeBron James has done this. You just go out there and you get these players in foul trouble, and now you can pick your spots. If you have a player like Julius Randle or Anthony Edwards, if they have 4 or 5 fouls, they're not going to go out there and be aggressive for the rest of the game. They want to pick up that last foul because you're out for the rest of the matchup. Now they're going to play lackadaisical defense, and they may run a zone coverage. And we're going to talk about this zone coverage for Minnesota in the next couple minutes here. But when you look at Shai, when he goes against those different defensive looks, he's just breaking it down, and he's slowing the game down to his pace. He's just taking his time. And J-Dub, phenomenal series so far for him. When we go back to that game 6 against the Denver Nuggets, he did not shoot very well. A lot of people came out there saying that, hey, they may have to trade J-Dub if they lose that series against Denver. Yes, analysts said that even though J-Dub is still in his early 20s and he's a phenomenal player, he has become a consistent number 2 since that game. And game 7, phenomenal on the offensive end. But his defense is still his best aspect of his game. Against the Denver Nuggets was unless you're going defense, unless you're going offense. In game 1 and game 2 against Minnesota, his defense has been there. Going on Anthony Edwards, switching over to Julius Randle, going out there and putting pressure on Mike Conley on a consistent basis. And he's the main guy that I look at in transition. He gets a steal. He throws the basketball up to Alex Caruso. He throws the basketball up to Chet Holmgren. Or Jalen Williams, he's just out there. He says, you know what? I'm just going to run down the court. We already have the turnover. He's the first one to break majority of the times. And that's transition points for them over and over again. When you look at Minnesota, they're a downhill team with Anthony Edwards and the same with Julius Randle. Right now, they can't get those fast break opportunities. And I look at a team in the Eastern Conference, the Indiana Pacers. If they can find a way to beat the New York Knicks, this would be a death sentence for the Pacers. You're not going to go out there and outgun a team like this in Oklahoma because they're deep. And also, they just have a lot of lanky defenders that can keep up with some of the best players in the NBA. They're not in the Western Conference Finals by accident here. You swept the Memphis Grizzlies for a reason. You went into round 2 against the Denver Nuggets, and you had them beat for a reason. If it wasn't for the lead that they blew early on in that series when they had the Denver Nuggets down by 20 points, they would have possibly won that game. They would have possibly won that matchup in 5 or 6 games, but it went to game 7. And that series was really a battle test for Oklahoma. This is still the youngest team in the NBA. Usually teams this young, they don't make it this deep into the postseason, but they have. And Shai, at this point in time, you can say that he's a veteran of the team. For the simple fact that he played with the Clippers. They traded him over in that Paul George deal. And shout out to the Clippers, by the way. And he comes over to Oklahoma. But back to J-Dub. We're going to go back and look at that game 7 against the Denver Nuggets and say, hey, that was the moment to where J-Dub became a superstar. The defense has been great in every single series in the postseason so far. but his offensive production has gotten better since that game 6, especially with those wide open threes. And remember when I said Shai is just causing so many problems for Minnesota? They're double teaming him. Guess who the open man is? J-Dub. And they close out on J-Dub. He gets the basketball to Lou Dort. And Lou Dort is not a great three-point shooter, but he can get hot from 3. You better ask Denver. When he gets hot from 3, it opens up the entire offense. And they have a certain situation to where you have Shai and you have J-Dub. If Lou Dort's not able to make his threes, you now have 2 skyscrapers up top and Isaiah Hartenstein, and the same with Chet Holmgren. Adding in Isaiah Hartenstein was a great move. Give Sam Presti a lot of credit. He deserves it. Isaiah Hartenstein is exactly what Oklahoma needed last season when they went against the Dallas Mavericks. They needed a center that could go out there and just be a true big man, come down with boards, play great defense and gritty defense. And that's what he did with New York. That's what he's doing right now with Oklahoma on a consistent basis every single night. He is contesting at the rim consistently with Anthony Edwards, and the same with Julius Randle. He's making Rudy Gobert a non-factor on the offensive end. Remember when Minnesota went against the Lakers in the first round? The Lakers did not have a true big man, and Rudy Gobert has a 20-20 game, best game of his life. He may never have that game ever again. And when they went against the Golden State Warriors, Rudy Gobert was getting pretty much whatever he wanted in certain situations. He wasn't going out there and averaging 20 points a game, but Rudy Gobert was getting the best of Kevon Looney in terms of offensive rebounds and defensive rebounds and just being good inside the paint, especially against Jimmy Butler. He doesn't have that option right now. They're plucking him off the court. In game 1, he was a non-factor on defense and on offense. In game 2, he did have 9 rebounds, but he's still going against Isaiah Hartenstein and Chet Holmgren. He's having a hard time dealing with both of those bigs, and the same with Naz Reid. And the simple fact that they know that Rudy Gobert is not an offensive threat, they don't worry about him. So they run a zone coverage, put more stress on Julius Randle, put more stress on Anthony Edwards. If Naz Reid is open in the corner, we'll swing over to him. We're going to make sure that he doesn't drive to the paint. That's not his strong suit in his game. He's a three-point shooter. And now he drives inside the paint. He's out of his element when he goes against Isaiah Hartenstein. And the same with Gilgeous-Alexander Walker. He's not going to drive inside the paint as well. So now you're cutting off the paint. You're forcing Minnesota to operate from the mid-range spot, from the three-point spot. Now, Julius Randle had a phenomenal game 1. And game 2, they put the clamps on Julius Randle. Julius Randle in game 2 only had 6 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. He was 2 of 11 from the field. He was playing so bad. They took him off the court in the 4th quarter. He didn't play. They just said, forget it. We'll go with Anthony Edwards. We'll let him finish out the game. We'll do the same with Jaden McDaniels. And Jaden McDaniels did have 22 points, 8 of 15 from the field, 4 of 8 from 3. He was their best shooter tonight. For the simple fact that Anthony Edwards is getting to the rim over and over again. He had 10 free throw attempts. He had 32 points, 12 of 16, but he was 1 of 9 from 3. In order for Minnesota to make this a true series and they have to win the next game at home, you don't want to be in a situation to where you're down 3-0 at home. They have to do a better job in terms of shooting against Oklahoma. But that's going to be hard as hell to do because of the defenders that they have with Shai, Alex Caruso, J-Dub, Isaiah Hartenstein, Chet Holmgren, especially against Alex Caruso. I look at Alex Caruso against the Denver Nuggets. They have this man guarding Jokic, and he's doing an effective job. He's hacking Jokic. He's pulling the chair. We don't see too many small guards do that. Now, compared to Jokic, he's a small player. Jokic is big as hell. But when you look at Alex Caruso, he's defending him like he's Stephen Curry. He said, man, I'm not worried about this. You go against me. You back me down. I have Chet Holmgren on the back end. I have Isaiah Hartenstein. They'll help me out. And we'll just pluck the ball away from you. We'll get transition points. And that's how they blew out the Denver Nuggets in Game 7. And so far, that's how they're taking care of business right now against Minnesota. And the reason why I bring up Alex Caruso, look, he's never going to go out there and average 20 to 25 points a game. But he doesn't have to. He can hit his timely threes from the corner. He can hit his threes from the top of the key. And they also made an addition over the offseason to trade Josh Giddey for him. That was a steal, by the way. Alex Caruso comes in. He's a perimeter defender. He can guard anyone like Anthony Edwards, will stop you from going to the rim on a consistent basis. Someone like Julius Randle. Hey, Randle, you had a great game 1. We'll make sure in game 2 you don't get those uncontested threes. We'll make sure as soon as you go over to the elbow and you try to kick it out and you try to swing back to the 3, we'll make sure that Alex Caruso is in your face the entire time. And we'll just rotate defenders over. But as far as Alex Caruso, whoever the red hot player is, 9 times out of 10, they're going to put Alex Caruso on him. They may even full court press if they have to. And he's also one of those players that can finish at the rim, get those transition buckets back and forth. This is what I mean when I say a team like Oklahoma, they can outgun you. They can outpace you. But Shai's going to slow the game down. But in those easy transition buckets off a turnover, they'll get you going easy. That's why you can't have those turnovers against a team like Oklahoma. That's what killed the Denver Nuggets with Jamal Murray and Jokic. They were getting frustrated. They're having those lazy passes. Here comes OKC, up and down the court, killing you. And they weigh on you. When you look at Minnesota in the first half, going into halftime, the game was close. They were up by 4 points in game 1. In game 2, they were down by 8 points. It was 50-58. In the third quarter, they're getting beat badly. You see the fatigue on them. Not Anthony Edwards, not Gilgeous-Alexander Walker, but the rest of the players. You're like, okay, what the hell is going on here? And the same with Jaden McDaniels, he stepped up. But I'm looking at the rest of Minnesota. I'm like, man, what the hell is going on? What happened in the first half compared to the second half here? Well, in the first half, they're weighing you down over and over again. And this is something that LeBron James said against the Oklahoma City Thunder in the regular season. He said, man, those guys that go out there, they'll wear you down on defense so much in the first half. You come out in the second half, you're still tired. But this team is so deep with their bench, they're still fresh. They're giving them constant rotational minutes over and over again. And that's the credit to Coach Mike, because he's out coaching Coach Chris right now for the Timberwolves. He's going out there and giving them different looks over and over again. And we got to see that in game 1. Julius Randle in the first half was phenomenal. In the second half, he slowed down. Anthony Edwards all the way through in game 2. Very effective. But you started to see, we're not going to give you those open looks anymore from 3. We're going to give you a different type of defense. We're going to go man-to-man. And if we're not going to go man-to-man here, we're going to give you a different zone look. Then we'll just go out there and double team and trap and get the basketball out of your hands to make sure that you don't beat us. You have to shoot your way out of the zone. And if you can't, we're going to do it over and over again. I haven't seen a defense like this in a very long time. Even the players coming off the bench is playing great defense at the next level. This is not common for teams in the NBA today. So right now in this current moment, with the Timberwolves being down 0-2, I would say that Oklahoma is a title favorite, but we'll see what happens in the future. But right now, Oklahoma, they're clicking on all cylinders. We have to give them a lot of credit here. And the same with Isaiah Joe. They brought him in. This is a guy that doesn't play big time minutes in the postseason. They bring him in. He comes off the bench. He gives you some big time production. Wiggins, he'll come in, be a big body defender, give you very good defensive moments. And the same with Cason Wallace. He had 8 points today. So this is a team right now with Oklahoma. They're phenomenal. And before I let you guys go, Chet is becoming offensive. I'm not going to say a superstar. He's become an offensive playmaker when you need it the most. 15 points in game 1. That was good enough. He had double-digit rebounds. The blocks are going to always be there. He's a great rim protector. But the three-point shot is getting along here. Yes, he was 1 of 6 from 3. But as long as he's contesting those shots and he's shooting it with confidence, I'll take that any day of the week. If he can start to stretch the floor at a consistent rate, it opens up the offense even more for Oklahoma. It opens up the offense for Shai to get to the paint even more now because you have Isaiah Hartenstein. They don't need Chet to go out there and set screens the entire time. You can have Isaiah Hartenstein go out there and set those screens, and now you have Chet just moving around. And that's also another credit that I want to give to Oklahoma here. They're not just ball watching. They're just not just standing around. They're cutting around. They're doing a lot of things on the back end while Shai is getting those one-on-one opportunities. And if he says, you know what, clear out, give me the ISO or set me a screen, they'll do that as well. And a lot of it is because of the pressure with Minnesota. He's just finding open lanes and just open gaps to where he just gets the ball off to other players. And then they just come down with easy points at the rims, or they come down with easy and ones. So Minnesota, they have to do a better job against this team in Oklahoma. Right now, Oklahoma is the better team. But let me know in the comment section below, who do you have winning this series, Oklahoma or Minnesota? If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, want each and every last one of you guys stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for the video, guys. God bless.